Afternoon. I'm Kylie Crocus.
I'm Betsy Bodwin, and this is the Voice of Duquesne Live. Now in sports. This week on the Bluff, the Duquesne women's lacrosse team played host to George Mason this past Saturday on Rooney Field. The Dukes look to rebound following a road loss at St. Bonaventure. George Mason enters this contest with a 5-5 record and 1-2 in conference play this season. The Dukes would fall to the Patriots 16-14, but it was not without any sort of positivity. Junior Grayson Emerson became Duquesne's all-time single-season assist leader, recording her 45th assist late in the first quarter on a goal by Megan Marco. Emerson broke Megan Frederick's record set previously in 2009. Duquesne looks to get back on track in their next matchup on Saturday at 1 p.m. on Rooney Field against Rhode Island. This game will be broadcasted live on ESPN+.
The men's tennis team lost on Sunday afternoon after a battle against Mercyhurst, dropping the Dukes to a 5-7 record this season. The Dukes opened strong in doubles play, winning doubles matches at number 1 and number 3. The team of Enrique Lana and Iro Kairatuna claimed a 6-3 victory, with Alfredo Vogler and Pierce Manning also winning 6-3. Duquesne continued to pick up wins in singles, with Vogler delivering decisive 6-1 and 6-3 deliveries, with Austin Lai following with 2 wins, 7-5 and 6-2. Mercyhurst, however, took 4 singles matches, including tough 3-set wins, aiding them in securing the overall victory. The Dukes will host Fordham tomorrow at the Oxford Athletic Club at 3 p.m.
The women's tennis team also visited Mercyhurst on Sunday afternoon, sweeping them 7-0, improving their overall record on the season to 6-8. Opening up doubles play, Mila Baddix and Naomi Lalonde secured a 6-2 win, with the team of Yasa Roca and Denise Arenas-Guiarte earning a 6-0 victory. The Dukes carried their energy into their singles matches, with Alexandra O'Brien, Guiarte, Roca, and Sofia Serrano all claiming straight-set wins. Baddix and Lalonde fought hard in 3-set battles, responding by closing out their battles with a win. The Dukes will travel to Olean, New York on Saturday, April 4th to take on St. Bonaventure.
In men's track and field, senior Nathaniel Washner earned his first career meet victory when he won the 3,000 meters in 8 minutes and 43.43 seconds, which is almost a full 6 seconds ahead of the runner-up. In his collegiate debut, Nick Keller placed the Duquesne top 5 in 2 events, running a 47.67 in the 400 meters and a 21.50 in the 200 meters. Both of these marks rank 5th in program history. Jaden Ramon in 5th place, Jack Barnheisel in 8th place, and Maxwell Hamilton in 10th place opened the season each with top 10 finishes in the 800 meters. Colm McGarty was 10th in the 400 meter hurdles with a time of 55.43. Up next is a quick trip to Carnegie Mellon for the Invitational next Friday and Saturday at Geisling Stadium in Pittsburgh.
In women's track and field, freshman Michaela Keck broke the Duquesne program record in the javelin in her collegiate debut. This led to 3 victories as the Dukes opened the 2026 outdoor track and field season at the 4.934 Classics. Keck also captured the javelin meet title with a throw of 49.41, surpassing the previous school record of 45.80 set by Julia Franzosa. Nadia Konstantakis cleared 3.60 meters in 4th place on the pole vault. Meanwhile, Rose Kuchera placed 2nd in the long jump and triple jump. The former posted a time of 5.81 meters, and the latter posted 12.26 meters.
The Duquesne women's bowling team won the 2026 NEC Championship by defeating 4th-seed Mercyhurst 2-0. This was the school's first tournament crown in program history. They received an automatic bid to the NCAA Championships and will be making their 4th appearance in 10 years as a program. They improved their record to 62-43 overall during the 2025-2026 season. "It's great to go out with a bang," senior Emma Sierski said. "Everyone who's been a part of this program, this is honestly for them. And we're excited, and I think we have a lot of passion. We might be 6, but we're a mighty 6, and I think we have a lot to give. Every shot isn't for ourselves. We want to do it for our teammates. We do it for the fun of it, and it also shows how much love we have for each other." The Dukes will learn their opponent for the NCAA Championship this Wednesday at 4 p.m. through the NCAA Selection Show.
Now, let's head over to Morgan Carr with this week's weather.
Thanks, guys. Now for the weather right here in Pittsburgh. So tomorrow, It's going to get a little stormy, 90% chance of showers, going to be some thunderstorms, so look out, make sure you have your umbrella. A high of 65, a low of 32, so still have your jackets. There's going to be bright and sunny on Saturday, high of 43 and a low of 26. Moving right into Sunday, some sun, some clouds, just depending. A high of 59 and a low of 30. We're going to move right into Monday, where just clouds, so not great, but we're getting higher temperatures with that high of 61, that low of 45, so no more 30 degrees. We'll go right into Tuesday, 50% chance of rain, so keep your raincoats close and near, high of 64 and a low of 49. Moving right into Wednesday, it's going to be cloudy, but it's a high of 76 and a low of 61, so make sure to try Rooney Field if you can. Then Thursday, the first day of Easter break, it's going to be rainy, 35% chance of rain, that high of 77 and that low of 61 starting off our Easter break. Now we're going to go right into Rome, Italy. So our friends abroad, lots of wind tomorrow, so stay safe, a high of 56 and a low of 43. Moving into Saturday, there's going to be lots of sun, high of 61, a low of 43. It's going to continue on Sunday with a little bit of clouds, a high of 66 and a low of 42, so it is a little bit chilly. Do have a jacket on hand. Bright and sunny Monday, then you have that high of 64 and that low of 43. Moving right into Tuesday, some clouds, high of 61, a low of 46. Wednesday, again, that bright, sunny day, high of 65 and a low of 43. Going right into Easter break, again, that sun is going strong, of high of 68 and a low of 45 in Rome. All right, and our final friends abroad, Dublin, who's not having nearly nice enough weather for the holiday. We have 85% chance of rain on Friday, high of 52 and a low of 40. Moving in, lots of wind, so be sure don't get blown away. It's going to be Saturday, lots of wind, high of 50, low of 39. Moving into Monday, high of 55, low of 42. Keep some jackets on you. Again, even windy on Monday, high of 57, and that low of 45. Then no more high gusts of wind, but Tuesday we have some clouds, high of 58, low of 50. Wednesday, a little bit colder, high of 55, low of 46. And into Easter break, even colder, just cloudy, but we got that high of only 51 and that low of 44 going in to the holiday weekend. All right, back to you guys.
Thanks, Morgan. Today is opening day for the Pittsburgh Pirates, who traveled to New York to take on the Mets. The Buccos look to improve on their 71-91 record last year, which landed them last place in the NL Central. The fan base is optimistic about their chances of contending for the division, which has never won the division in its existence. The Pirates had one of the most active off-seasons in franchise history, bringing in power hitters Marcell Ozuna, Brandon Lowe, and Ryan O'Hearn. With a $29 million deal, O'Hearn became the fifth highest paid Pirate ever. This was the most total money that the team has ever spent in one offseason. Pittsburgh's top prospect, Connor Griffin, was the center of attention in the spring. Despite hype from fans, he will begin the season in the minor leagues. Reigning Cy Young winner Paul Skeens pitched twice for Team USA in the World Baseball Classic, representing his team and country well. He's the favorite to repeat as the NL's best pitcher. The Pirates are listed with a 27.5% chance to win the division, second behind the Chicago Cubs. Pittsburgh fans have reason to be excited for this season.
As the NHL continues to head towards the postseason, early predictions for championship brackets have begun to emerge. For the Eastern Conference, the Carolina Hurricanes, Columbus Blue Jackets, and our Pittsburgh Penguins are all predicted to be contenders for their bracket, with the New York Islanders being a possible wild card. For the Western Conference, the Colorado Avalanche continues to stand as one of the best teams in the entire league, while the Anaheim Ducks and the Edmonton Oilers trail behind as contenders. While the Penguins managed to score various wins against their opponents earlier this month, they suffered an unfortunate loss against the Colorado Avalanche on Tuesday. Today they'll be facing off against the Senators at 7 p.m.
On Sunday, the Duquesne club baseball team traveled to Youngstown, Ohio to take on the Youngstown State Penguins. The Dukes would come out on top, winning 11-8 and improving their record to 4-2 on the season. The game saw the Dukes take a commanding 11-2 lead, and despite Youngstown State putting up a rally and scoring 6 runs in the 9th inning, Duquesne was able to hold on to the lead and get the win. A standout for this game would be Cohen Briner, who notched 4 hits in the game. Duquesne coach Josh Kane said after this game, "This game shows the depth that the squad has, especially in the pitching category. We have a lot of guys who are versatile in many different ways." The Duke's next game will be played at Robert Morris this Saturday.
Now let's head over to our pop culture segment to keep you in the know.
Thanks, guys.
So we're back for another week of pop culture. Last week we talked about the Oscars. We're sort of staying on the same theme this week with movies.
Yep.
Focusing more on one movie in particular, we have yet another Dracula movie. I can't even tell you how many Dracula movies because there's a lot of people.
There's so many.
A lot of them go off book. Some stay closer to book. But this one came out in 2025 recently. A lot of people really liked it. I think a lot of people thought it kind of followed the plot of the book to an extent. It's always going to be to an extent, especially with such an old tale. It gets kind of hard to follow it very directly.
Yes, this one was directed by Luc Besson. I believe I'm saying that right because I think he's French. He directed it, and he kind of focused more on the romantic aspect that people can perceive the Dracula book in, even though I've read it, I don't think it's really a romance. It received a Rotten Tomatoes score of 53%, which isn't the best.
I saw a lot of people saying they didn't like the ending. So I hate to spoil, but at the end, Dracula, Count Dracula, he dies at the end. But it's so a lot of people didn't like that because essentially, I'm not going to go into full detail of the entire plot, but he waited 400 years for her to be reincarnated to come back into his life and finally finds her, blah, 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 blah. But then these people are after him because he's Dracula, he's a vampire, he's evil, they're coming after him. And he sort of makes a sacrifice for her, which that sacrifice being his life. So a lot of people don't like that he died in the end after waiting so long for the love of his life to come back, and he finally gets her and then he dies. But a lot of people also were saying that, well, it wasn't all for nothing because in the end, he made that sacrifice for her. The priest looked at Dracula and said, "She may be your salvation, but you're her damnation." So he kind of took that and really was like, wow, I don't want to damn her soul because of just because I love her. So he really, in the end, it wasn't all for nothing. And that really coined into that tragedy sense of the original story. So I feel like that's where a lot of the mixed reviews come from.
The audience score for it was an 83%. It just seems like the critics were more critical. I feel like in a way they might have just been a little too critical. Some of the main actors in it are Caleb Landry Jones, and if you don't know him, he was in X-Men. He was also in Get Out as the brother, and the other main actress who plays Dracula's love interest. Yeah. She starred in a couple of movies, but they're not really as known. Actually, I think my favorite part about researching and looking into this movie is learning who did the soundtrack, which was Danny Elfman. Danny Elfman has done the soundtracks for Nightmare Before Christmas, Beetlejuice, Corpse Bride, a lot of other Tim Burton movies like Sleepy Hollow, I think. I love all the soundtracks that he does. He's very good at it. Yeah.
No, it was a very well put together piece, I would say. I know a lot of people
I really liked it.
Said that the casting was really good. It was, again, it's Dracula.
Yeah.
How many adaptations are there of Dracula? Probably so many that we haven't even seen yet that are hiding in someone's makeshift basement studio. We don't know. There's so many. Dracula, Frankenstein, there's so many. There's more to come, I'm sure. But that might be why they get so harshly criticized, because it's another Dracula. What makes this Dracula better than the last one?
Yeah, and I think that the unique thing about whenever you do adaptations from especially classics who have been
out for so long.
Yes, you have to kind of take the story and make it your own. And although a lot of other Dracula movies, like I think Gary Oldman. He played Dracula in a Dracula movie with Winona Ryder. And I feel like that one was a little bit more closer to the book, but it also had that aspect of this is my long lost love and she's been reincarnated. It focuses on different, like more so aspects from the book. Whereas this one, it's kind of like he made it his own.
Yeah, so I feel like that really made it special. Despite the mixed reviews, there were a lot of good reviews along
There
with
were
the
a lot
bad.
of good reviews.
Along with the bad, there was definitely mixed reviews with a 53% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, we have some Letterboxd reviews. So we have some Letterboxd reviews that I thought were kind of funny.
Someone said, Bro really saw Nosferatu and said, what's really missing here is for Dracula to sound more like Gru and for him to have little rocky minions. So he had that sort of accent, but
Romanian, I would say.
Yeah, and he had these little gargoyles in his castle.
Yes, he had these little gargoyles.
That would run around and protect
And they
him.
turned out to be children.
Yeah.
When the curse
That
was
wasn't
lifted,
really-
they
that
came out and
wasn't
they were like all
explained.
these bald children.
Yeah.
And the last one that we have is, it says, we have Bram Stoker's Dracula at home. I mean, yeah.
So, so everyone has different opinions. It's very mixed, but if you want to get your own opinion on it, go check out
watch
the new
it.
Dracula
Go watch
movie
it.
came out in 2025, but yeah.
Okay. Thanks for watching, and back to you guys.
This past Monday started Greek Week, where all the Greek life organizations on campus were paired in groups to compete for the Greek Week trophy. The kickoff occurred Monday with the barbecue in the ballroom. From 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., all Greeks got free Chick-fil-A catering while building community with each other. The next event, Capture the Flag, happened Monday night, and people came out in full force. One person said that she was excited for this event. It's cold on the outside, but on the inside, I'm ready to go. Tuesday night was a meeting in the union called Greek Forum, which was a full go for the organizations. With guest speaker Dr. Anthony Kane, the groups participated in a lecture about community and belonging here at Duquesne. Heading into Wednesday's event, which is the Greek God and Goddess. This event categorizes each Greek life to have one person represent his or her organization. Alpha Gamma Delta's Goddess and Alpha Delta's God were the winners of this event. The final event takes place today in the Union Ballroom, where the organizations are paired with each other and produce a Greek Sing event.
For those of you that missed it, this past Saturday on the 21st, the University of Pittsburgh students hosted their annual St. Patrick's Day Ginger Run. Students from University of Pittsburgh as well as neighboring universities gathered on Semple Street at 1:30 p.m. to watch the event happen. The Ginger Run is an event that occurs where students that attend the University of Pittsburgh with a red hair color compete in a race where all of their peers watch and cheer them on. University of Pittsburgh student Jared Krause actually participated in the run. It was honestly pretty amazing, Krause said. I've never seen so many fellow Gingers in one place. Students from all over the city packed onto Semple Street for dancing, music, and overall a fun time.
Dukes Against Cancer hosted a Tie It Forward event this past weekend. Our Kylie Crocus has more with this cozy event.
Hi, I'm Kylie, and I feel like we can all agree that blankets are something that can give all of us comfort. So, in light of that, Dukes Against Cancer held an event where people made blankets for kids with pediatric cancer. So, let's go check that out.
So making these blankets was kind of a tedious task, but the reason behind it and the purpose for making these blankets made the entire thing worth it every second. You had to line up the two blankets, then you would cut little slits into all of the edges around the like sides and all of that. Then just to tie those little slits all together about a million times. By the end, we all felt like our fingers were numb, but we had a great time doing it. As you can see, there was some great music playing in the background. Bring up the spirits. Everyone really had a great time, and it was all for a great cause.
My name is Jacob Perlman. I'm a freshman here at Duquesne. I'm the president and founder of Dukes Against Cancer. We're a cancer advocacy club, and we want to make a difference and show out support. Going on the back right now is our Tie It Forward event. We had one in the beginning of the year, but this event is to make tie blankets for the cancer patients at the Hillman Center, the pediatrics section. And I'd appreciate if everyone showed up to more events. We've got on the 4th of April, we've got a Millie's Ice Cream event where we're working with the Riveters, the soccer team here at Duquesne. And I hope everybody shows up and help support cancer.
Aside from the support, there are so many reasons why someone should show up to an event like this.
Hi, I'm Maddie Flood. I came to this event because recently my aunt got cancer, and I feel like this is just like a really good cause, especially this event focuses on kids with cancer and just giving back to them because they're going through a hard time, and even little things like this, making blankets, just helps them out like in the long run, and it just gives them hope.
So, whether you're there to make a lasting impression on a kid's life, get some free food, volunteer hours, or really just to have a good time with friends, the event was really truly rewarding and it is going to make a difference in some young kids' lives. There were so many blankets made, everyone's fingers were cramping, but really in the end, it was all worth it. Look at all these blankets that will hopefully be getting some new homes soon. So, I look forward to seeing more events that are coming with Dukes Against Cancer, so be on the lookout for what they have planned next.
As tiring as it was extremely rewarding, and I know in the long run it's going to really make a difference in some kids' lives. So stay on the lookout for more events hosted by Dukes Against Cancer. This is Kylie signing out.
Thanks, Kylie. Lottery numbers for students' housing next year have been generated. ResLife asks that all students please refer to the chart attached to the email they received with their lottery number to find their designated time slot for selecting their room. There are many options available for students to live in, including Viceroy Suites, double rooms in Duquesne Towers, and double and single rooms in Assumption Hall. Honors College students can also select the Honors Community in Des Plas Hall, which used to be available to everyday students. There are a limited number of each room type, and they will be filled in order of lottery numbers. If your desired room type is no longer available at your selection time, you should consider a different room type. After room selection, you can be placed on a waitlist for your desired space only if you have selected a space during room selection. Visit the housing portal at your designated times to select your room space. The member of your roommate group with the best lottery number will select for all members of the group. Residence Life thanks you for participating in online room selection. If you have questions or need any assistance, please text them at 412-396-5473.
R. Morgan Carr sat down with Duquesne alum James Fitzpatrick to get an inside look into his life and what really keeps him at Duquesne after all these years.
Thanks, guys. Today, I'm sitting down with James Fitzpatrick, a Duquesne alum. Thank you so much for being here today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, Morgan.
So, obviously, like I said, you're an alum, and you've had so many lives here at Duquesne. So, can you tell me a little bit about your life at Duquesne?
Well, I arrived at Duquesne in the fall of 1970 for my freshman year. And obviously, Duquesne is nothing like this beautiful campus you have right now. College Hall had just opened, the Student Union had just opened about 2 years before I got here. College Hall opened my first semester. The Towers was a construction site. That beautiful flag and garden pavilion you have out in front of College Hall was a mud pit, and that's where we played intramurals. So it wasn't a particularly attractive campus at the time, but I've discussed this with my friends with whom I graduated. Something about being here that felt very special. And we arrived at a time when Duquesne was having the most severe financial problems, and that's what started my love affair, I think, with Duquesne, because I was able to get involved, very minor role, in the Third Alternative. And I'm sure you've heard of that thing, which got me involved in all kinds of things and got me to meet people like Father McAnally, who was the president, and Patricia Watt, who was our dean of students, and other people that really had a big impact on me. And I had no idea why I was going to college, except my mother told me I was going to college. Didn't know what I was going to study because she didn't tell me that. Nobody in my family had ever gone to college before. So it took me the full 2 years. And I remember being called into the academic advisement office in the college, and my advisor saying, "Sorry, time's up, you got to pick a major." I came over here and I walked into the dean of students office and I said, "I know what I want to do." She said, "What is that?" I said, "I want to do what you do." And then she became kind of my de facto advisor from there, academically and professionally, and which led to graduate school. And then my first job here, worked here for 9 years, from 1977 to 1986, and eventually moved on to other schools, went on to doctoral program at the University of Pittsburgh, worked at a variety of different schools, and 40 years later, when I retired, I came back and got re-involved with Duquesne University because it's always had a place in my heart, and I just really adore the place.
Yeah, and so you've been here forever. What does your involvement look like now? What do you really do here on campus to interact with the university?
Well, I was fortunate enough to be elected or appointed, however that works, to the alumni, what was then called Board of Governors, now Alumni Council. So I got re-involved with Duquesne in that way, and then I found out also that the School of Education, 8-9 years ago, whatever it was starting a master's program in higher education administration. So I contacted the dean. I said, I'm not looking for a job. I was retired. But if you need help from somebody who's worked in higher ed and student affairs for 40 years. So the guy who was setting this up and putting the curriculum together and all that, and he and I met prior to the program even starting, got to come down once the program did get started, met with students, sat on a panel, question and answer kind of thing, didn't teach a class. And then there was a mentoring component. So I was assigned a mentee to work with, and we were going great guns, and then COVID hit. So, and then during that time, we had the 40th or 50th anniversary of the Third Alternative Program, and we had a program in the ballroom, which is co-sponsored by the McNally College of Liberal Arts. And that's how I got to meet Dean Blair, and she and I got to know each other, and she eventually invited me to join the Dean's Alumni Advisory Council for the College of McNally College and Graduate School of Liberal Arts. So that's right now what my involvement is at the university.
Yeah, and you kind of keep touching on Father McAnulty, especially with your time here. And so I understand that kind of your life's work has kind of been dedicated around him. So what is so important about the life and impact of Father McAnulty?
Well, succinctly put, this university would not be open if it wasn't for Father McAnulty, plain and simple. I told you I came here when Duquesne was having its financial problems, and I was able to get involved in a minor way with that. But just to look back on that, having lived through that, having worked during the centennial, having gotten to know him very well, being able to call him a friend by the end of his life, and I got permission from him to write the history of his presidency from 1959 to 1980. That's when everything happened. All the construction was going on in the master plans and the crisis and all that sort of thing. And he said to me, I don't want anybody to write my biography. And I said, that's not what I'm looking for. I want to write the history of your presidency because it is the most significant piece of Duquesne history there is. So he agreed to do that. He was authenticating everything that I was writing. He was generous with his time to sit and have conversations about what I was finding out and things I didn't understand. He was able to explain to me, and I was fortunate enough that I was able to give him a copy of the dissertation before he died in 1995. So yeah, he kind of became a friend, mentor, idol. I will admit to being an idol worshiper when it came. There are two people who really impacted me professionally, and that was Father McAnulty and Dean Patricia Watt. And that set me on the course to working in higher education for 40 years. Loved every minute of it.
Yeah, and so would you say that it was kind of his impact that made you choose the topic, or was it another reason that made you choose that topic to focus on?
What made me choose that topic is when I discovered there's nothing in writing about that 21-year period. And I didn't want to do a dissertation where you send out a bunch of surveys and try to do that test of significance and all that sort of thing. When I was told I could do a historical piece, and that just seemed to fit so nicely. But of course, I had to get permission from the faculty at Pitt, and I had to get permission from Father McAnulty. So I went to him first, and I said, "If they approve this, would you be willing?" And he said he would, and it was 9 months not stopped. So I wrote the whole thing, and as I said, I was able to give him a copy. So of course, which is now in the archives, but. One of my prized possessions is I got a handwritten note from him after that, which I have, that he had sent to me just before he died.
Yeah.
So he was a big impact on my life, professionally mostly, but personally as well, because he was just a shining example. And the thing I loved about him the most is he knew us, his students. He could call you by name. I'd be walking up and down, academic walk, and I'd say, "Hi, Father Mac." He'd say, "Hi, Fitz." I mean, he knew my name as a freshman, for goodness sakes. And that was the beauty of McAnally, because he held this place together, strength of his character, but he knew each and every student leader. I can't say he could name every one of us on site, but he knew a good number of us were involved in the newspaper, student government, which I was, and other things. So he really was somebody who was inspirational, but he was somebody who had the common touch. He knew he wasn't an academic. He resisted becoming president here. He didn't want to do that because he had a bachelor's degree. And I remember him saying that he felt that he shouldn't be walking at the end of an academic line with all these people with doctoral degrees walking in front of him, but he was kind of ordered to take the job by his predecessor. And they didn't have search committees and all that back then. So he did it, and he was the right man for the job at the right time. You and I owe our education to Father McAnally.
Yeah, and it's the best kind of people who really instill it into us here at Duquesne. And so, I mean, you spent a lot of time with him. What would you say are some of his values that you kind of hope continue at Duquesne to this day?
Well, as I said, he had the common touch. And I would hope anybody who works in university administration, student affairs people, the president, all that kind of stuff, have that kind of common touch. And he was among his students. And that's what I would hope that everybody around here realizes. This place first, last, and knowledge is because of you. If there are no students, what's the point of a university? He knew that very well. He had enormous faith for someone who was facing the kind of crisis that he faced. He had enormous faith because at one point during the writing of this thing, I said, something doesn't make sense to me. He said, what is that? I said, well, Pitt was facing a financial crisis, and they had a $19 million debt service. And this goes back to 1966, when Pitt went state-related and the community college system got started. So they had a $19 million debt service. You were sitting in downtown Pittsburgh with a $40 million debt service. The chancellor at Pitt announced that they were going to close their doors because they couldn't financially make it. You didn't. Why was that? How did you make it work when they couldn't? And I remember it's to the day I die. He leaned back in his chair, he crossed his hands like this, he looked up at the ceiling, it was the Holy Ghost. I mean, he believed that with his whole heart and soul. And do you find that kind of belief and devotion? And so he was an extraordinary man. He was an extraordinary priest, extraordinary man, extraordinary college president, as he was thrown into the fire and held this place together. So he was just remarkable in every aspect that I knew of him. You know, as much as a student and an employee, and then somebody can know another person, but he impacted a lot of people. He really did. Those of us who were here during that time were completely devoted to him. You can speak to anybody from my era, and he'll sing his praises as I do.
Yeah, and his impact is greatly seen at Duquesne. And obviously that's still here, but kind of as you touched on, even before we kind of started talking, is that things have changed here. So kind of since your time at Duquesne, what has changed and what has really stayed the same?
Well, what has changed is the campus. It is beautiful now. There are buildings here that didn't exist. I already mentioned the mud field over in front of College Hall, which is now that lovely plaque pavilion. There were row houses on the other side of Mellon Hall where you now have classroom buildings. I guess that's the School of Health Sciences. It used to be what we called the girls' gym. It was this ugly, dilapidated building that's where the female athletes practiced. Skywalks, of course, so your first class in the morning was probably in College Hall. In a blizzard, you had to walk all the way down to Rockwell Hall, and your third class was in Canterbury Hall, so you had to walk back and forth. Didn't have skywalks, didn't have elevators, didn't have parking garages. None of the things that you have now. So enjoy that, okay? I can look back with fondness on what the place looked like and see how, from afar, how it has developed. But Duquesne grows as it should grow. It adds academic programs as it needed academic programs. For God's sakes, we have a medical school. I never, in my wildest imagination, thought there would ever be a medical school at Duquesne University. I mean, I'm delighted that we have a medical school. That puts us in a different classification of universities. How many of us have both law and medicine, for example? But they've added academic programs because we had the basics. We had arts and sciences, which was all one school. We had music, we had education, we had business, we had pharmacy, we had nursing. I was an in-law. What have you got now? My goodness, you had all these programs and built the buildings, but the foundation was laid for all of this between that 1959 to 1980 period when McAnally held this place together. And everybody who came on after him, Dr. Murray and who was after Murray? There's a room named after him, and I can't remember his last name. And then, of course, Ken, and hopefully the new president is going to continue to build on that foundation. But what a remarkable institution you have now. Your enrollment is great. The academic programs are great. I believe we are healthy and we'll survive till long after I'm gone. So the spirit is the same. I'm delighted when I get to meet people like you who really like being here, as we did. That pretty much is the same. But the place has to evolve. It has to continue to grow and meet the needs of what the student body needs, and Duquesne has done that.
Yeah, and the student body certainly keeps growing. In fact, there was a kickoff to graduation event the other day that I know you were a part of. Can you kind of tell me what your role was in the kickoff to graduation?
Well, it's hosted by the Alumni Association, and a couple of things they do at the end of the year is kind of your orientation to becoming one of us, the graduates. Right now there's just some final exams and a diploma between the graduating class and being an alumni. But they put together everybody that you probably need to see in order to take care of any matters with graduation. I know the bookstore people were there and the cap and gown people were there and all. So you just go around the Africa room and you see all these people. My role was just checking people in, giving them this card, showing them what they needed to do, congratulating them, giving them a pat on the back, a handshake or something like that. But just to greet them on behalf of the Alumni Association. They go all the way around the room, and at the end they get a T-shirt from the Alumni Association. So that's what it is. Now, back when I worked at Duquesne, of course, none of that kind of stuff existed, and everything for graduation was coming out of the registrar's office, and that's what I did for the first 2 years, was make sure that everything that a student had to do was done. But we didn't have text messages, we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have email messages, so the way of communicating with the student was much more difficult about, hey, you have parking fines, or you have a library book that's past due, or something like that. This program they had over in the Africa room will take care of all that for you in one fell swoop. It's a really great idea. Makes it convenient for the graduates so they can order their cap and gown, they could make sure that they're financially and academically eligible, and whatever it is they need to do, they can take care of all at once. And that's the companion piece to then what they call becoming the tradition, which will be a kind of a cocktail party that the Alumni Association sponsors for the graduating seniors. The president will come over and give a toast, and then let's go graduate.
Yeah, it's a great experience, especially, I can see you wearing the ring, as they soon will. Now, just, a final thought, in 3 sentences or less, or however you may, what do you think is kind of important about a Duquesne University degree in comparison to a degree at some other university?
Well, Duquesne has been for a very long time a regional university, okay? I don't know where we stand on the national score anymore, but it's much better known today than it was back in the 70s when I was in school. I have gone as far away as Europe, and somebody will recognize a Duquesne ring. That tells me whether they're fellow travelers or people from other countries, they've heard of us. Sometimes it's the neat sounding name, and sometimes you have to correct them on how they pronounce that name. But I've been in California, where somebody recognized the ring. I have been in Detroit, Michigan, where somebody thought it was a Detroit Tiger World Series ring. I've been pumping gas in Florida, and somebody noticed the ring. And right away, that sparked some conversation that people somewhere know about you, or they have some connection to the university, or they went there themselves, something like that. So I think over the years, as we've added programs, we've grown, the medical school is giving us a higher level of recognition. And I hope that continues to be. And Duquesne will always be an institution, I think, that's going to be not carried by its reputation in athletics as much as it's going to be carried by its academic reputation, which is good. I mean, athletics are important. Don't misunderstand me. I was a vice president of student affairs, and I had athletics reporting to me. But there's some institution, you can name them, whose sole identity nationally and maybe internationally is their sports program. We have that. We have our sports program. But we also have solid academic programs. And I'm really proud of that. As it grows and it gets a higher profile, my degree, even though I'm retired, increases in value. Yours is increasing in value as you continue on academically or whatever else you're going to do. People will know the Duquesne name, regionally for sure, but it's spreading.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here today.
Morgan, it was my pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And now we'll head back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Morgan. Now for Provost Dossie's academic insights. Here are some of the upcoming events at Gumberg Library. Spring Scholastic Book Sale. Stop by the Student Union over the next few days to fill those Easter baskets, stock up for summer reading, or treat yourself to a new journal. We hope to see you there. The hours are today 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., Friday 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., and Saturday 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Find your sources. Navigating Liberal Arts Databases webinar. Ted Bergfeld, Humanities Librarian at Gumberg Library, will introduce students, and faculty also, to the most important databases for articles in the humanities and social sciences. He will point out the most important and comprehensive databases for each academic disciplines. The 44th Annual Symposium, Phenomenological Encounters in Dark Times. In an era of uncertainty, what does it mean to seek truth? University of Toronto historian Marcy Shore explores how phenomenology, forged in times of crisis, offers insight into dissent, responsibility, and citizenship today. Join us for this in-person symposium on March 27th in the Gumberg Library. I am Betsy Bodwin.
And I'm Kylie Crocus. We hope to see you next Thursday.